Hey everyone, how are you doing? Welcome to another episode of Breaking Into Cybersecurity. And today we have a very special guest, Andrea. Andrea's background is that she was initially in realty and now she is in cybersecurity. Oh, there she is. She popped in backstage. So let's bring her on.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Andrea, how are you doing today?
I am very well. How about yourself?
Perfect. Well, I just wanted for you to give your story to the audience, maybe share a little bit about your background, what you were doing before, and then what happened. How'd you get the cybersecurity bug?
Of course. Well, very excited to share this with everyone because it's been a learning experience, but a very fun one. So I used to be a realtor. And as you guys may know, in Alberta, we had a little bit of a downturn. And I decided that I wanted to be in tech. And I looked at a couple careers, and cybersecurity was one of those. And it caught my eye because it connected so many things. It connected technology, it connected business risk, it connected people. To me, it seemed logical to move into cybersecurity simply because it would become a need for everyone. Business, even as a person, right? We need to protect our data. We even need to be thinking about what passwords we're using for Facebook because Facebook might get hacked, right? And if we're using that same password, then our banking might get hacked, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I left real estate, took a full-time job so I could go to school at night, did a course aligned with the CISSP that did have some technical aspects to it, but also focused on the business side of things, right? And understanding cybersecurity from a business point of view, not only from the technical or the cyber attack point of view, right? So why would it make sense for companies to implement cybersecurity into their budget, not only to avoid a data breach, but the benefits from that. So anyways, I took this course. It's a route that you need to be very motivated because if you don't have any technical background, it will take you 4 years to acquire that certification. But they said, take it, learn about it. I went in, fell in love with our emerging industry. Did not know a lot about it. And then I graduated about a year later and found a job, not, again, on the technical aspect of things and with no experience. I had to be willing to also maybe wear many hats, work for a smaller company, of course, and start building a career, the foundation of my career. And here we are. 2 years later, I graduated in June 2020, got my first job in the industry by October, and I'm on my second role with a new company, but loving it. Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. So let's talk about that transition. So you found all these different transferable skills or areas of passion that you liked within cybersecurity. You're doing this course at night. Let's talk about your transition, because oftentimes we hear from individuals that they applied for 200 plus jobs, or they had a lot of interviews, or what were the struggles that you had from your point of view as you look to transition over from realty to whatever step you did first before you got to cybersecurity? Let's talk about that transition.
So the transition was, I think it'd be a lie if I said it was easy, right? It's a transition, and it's something that when you decide to career transition into an industry that you have no idea, and it's also an emerging industry, very new topic, you need to be willing to also maybe not be as demanding on yourself, accept that you don't know it all, ask for help, and be willing to maybe take jobs that maybe you're not where you were at your previous career, right? So you need to be flexible. You need to be open to working really hard. But some of those challenges, let me talk about them. So I would say being told that I did not have the technical experience was a challenge. Not knowing anything about IT was a challenge, 100%. I think most people think, oh, cybersecurity. Do I think if you have the technical aspect, you have way more chances to finding a job right away? 100%. Should we all be looking into the technical aspects of things? 100%, right? But it's not going to be a make or break either. It's almost like a choice. If you want to understand what you're doing better, sure, look at that technical aspect. But to me, that was a challenge because a lot of people either wanted me to have technical experience and did not understand that there's also a lot of areas where you don't need the technical knowledge, where you just need to know how to take the results from those technical security tests and explain them in an easy way to a board member that doesn't know anything about cybersecurity, right?
Yeah.
So that was a challenge, getting people to look at me with no technical experience. But I think as our industry is emerging, people are actually starting to understand that, whoa, there's also a need to explain this in a non-technical way, right? So one of the challenges, COVID-19 happened. So to be honest, I am very grateful. I am very blessed to have a job. I will say that one of the challenges is realize that you're going to send 100 applications and you might get 100 no's. But then when you send that 101, you might get an interview and you might not pass an interview, but then you will do more. So you got to work hard in getting that job. You got to keep connecting with people. You got to network. You got to, one of the challenges is just showing that, yes, you know what, I'm new in the industry, but I want to learn. And connecting with the right people and finding the right ways to connect with those who are open and want to see new faces in cybersecurity, right? So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's dive into those two topics. Well, there's two topics that I wanted to pull out. How did you go about overcoming the obstacle of your lack of experience in tech and cyber to sell your value both to companies as well as feel technically competent yourself and confident in being able, in being able to be in a role where you felt that yourself that you might not have had the experience that you wanted yourself. And then the second part, let's talk about the networking because that's another passion of mine. So let's first tackle the first part, the challenge of IT and cyber. How did you get that experience? How did you get the knowledge to feel that you were comfortable in those roles, that you could sell the value that you had to companies?
Backing myself up with a team of experts. I'm being honest. I'm still learning. I did a lot of labs on my own time, right? It's something that, again, career transitioning means you got to put some effort. You got to do what you need to do. No one might even look at it, but you're going to feel more comfortable. So I did some labs on my own. And then I ensured that I connected and I worked for someone that was willing to back me up. I also, I want to touch this actually a lot. Make sure that you remember your skills from your previous role because they will connect and they will make you strong. You just sometimes have to look at them and go, okay, so, I used to be a realtor. What does that even have to do with cybersecurity? Wait, actually, great at connecting with people, great at presenting, great at explaining what are my strengths and my weaknesses, experience. I did not have a lot of knowledge. Till this day, to be honest, Chris, I'm learning on a daily basis. I'm exhausted because I'm learning 24/7. But if you want to be in technology, you better be willing to be learning 24/7, because everything's, even if we learn it, no one knows it all, right? Persistence, 100%, 100%. And being open, I think some of the limitations are in our heads. Like, the real limitation is being able to accept that you don't know it, that you're not going to be perfect at it, and the willingness to learn it, and that you will just keep building as you go. But having that humbleness to say, oh, wow, to be honest, I have no idea what I'm doing, but do know that I'm going to figure it out.
Absolutely.
And then have that support behind you. So those are, make sure you don't forget about those strengths that you did have and that we all have, because everyone has strengths, right? And make sure you support yourself with labs, or maybe with working with people that are there to fill in those weaknesses until you are ready to take those on yourself.
Perfect.
That help?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's touch on some of the comments. One of the comments for those listening, Thomas said, persistence is the key to all in IT and being a lifelong learner. I definitely agree with that. One of the other questions that came up, and we could tackle this in a bit, also touches on that subject, is what classes, courses, training that did you find was the most useful for you? So we could touch on that in a little bit. Then we have Marta from the WISIS. She said, yes, lifelong learning is a key. Tomas said, exactly, don't be afraid to look things up via Google and other avenues. Exactly, because in your day-to-day role, you can't know everything, but you have to know how to be able to figure out what you're looking for, and then be able to research it, find those experts, find other people that can help you with that. Fred says there's actually a sales component to cybersecurity, especially if you're an auditor. I wouldn't say just an auditor. He says it's very hard to sell new ideas to a company that's been doing it the same ways. I would say sometimes I struggle with selling new ideas to auditors, because they're like, this is what you should have. You need to have segregation of duties, but in, say, DevOps, you don't have segregation of duties. You have automation. You have individuals that have more access than security might like. But that's just the DevOps approach. So definitely, selling is something. So let's talk about the courses that you thought were helpful for you, that you benefited from. Which ones were those?
So I don't have a lot of information for you guys on that. I'm a hands-on learner. I did them on Royal, cybersecurity 1-year course. And that course follows the CISSP book of their book.
Knowledge.
It's a huge book.
Yep.
I can tell you that a lot of the courses that I've done are exactly through Google. I come up with a topic, and YouTube, I find, again, you can't believe everything in the internet either, right? So you got to go into YouTube, and you got to assess, and you got to do your due diligence on making sure that what you're learning makes sense. But I think I really enjoy the CISSP. The book explained it quite well from the business aspect. There is, I don't know if you guys know, let me just find it here. There's a website that I just don't have the name on the top of my head, that has great labs that I used. I think it's, let me just find it here for you guys. But
well, if you can't find it now, we can always post it as a comment later. I
will.
And then those can come back and look on LinkedIn or YouTube for that comment. One of the questions or one of the statements from some of our guests is, I feel like teaching has a lot of overlap, soft skills with retail, and it's very reaffirming to hear from you. Thank you for speaking. And that's why we do this podcast, so that our speakers can inspire others. We need diversity of thought. We need diversity of background, diversity of experience to be able to solve some of these tough problems that we have in cybersecurity. When you're looking for your first job in IT, were you looking to be a very specific title that you were applying for, or were you applying for a wide range of experiences where you would get that experience and progress to your dream job? That's a great question.
I would go with the second option.
Oh, so you're applying for a wide breadth of roles?
Okay, well, maybe not for a while. I'll tell you guys what I did.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really know. Again, I was new in the industry. I didn't even really know where I wanted to go. I took my skills that could get me in the door today. So maybe be a combination, a hybrid, right? But I made sure that those skills, when I was talking to my probable employers or companies that I was looking to work for, I made sure that I could get to where I thought at that moment I wanted to be. To be honest, today, from when I started, that picture has changed, right? But I think, yes, I think when you connect, when you're starting your career, connect, have a conversation with the companies, learn about them, and share who you are, share your skill set, share what you are good at, share that you're willing to start an IT desk support, but also share where you want to go. And then I will say that in today's world, we're sending resumes, still send them, send as many, send 10 a day, but also take the minute to connect with people on a more personal level. I think I can tell you guys that I've found a lot of support in our industry. I've never had anyone not want to connect with me for 15 minutes just to talk and give me 15 minutes to learn more about who they were working for, how they got there. And then that's how you start getting your foot in the door, right? And then they are the first ones to say, you know what, I think, wow, you're really good at talking. And you are passionate about cybersecurity. You know what, I see a potential for you. Not now. Let's see where I can get you. Maybe, yes, at help desk support. But you know what, I could see your career taking off into more of a explaining to CEOs their business risk, right? In deliverable aspect of projects, right? So I would say it's a hybrid. But I think connecting with who you want to work with and asking for even 5 minutes of their time is also, it will do wonders if you're just starting your career.
Absolutely. Let's talk about that. So was your approach, you found you're looking potentially on the job board, you found a company that was interesting, you would apply for the role and then reach out to someone at that company? Or did you reach out to someone at that company, talk to them, and then apply for the role? What was your approach?
I did both.
Okay.
Try both. A/B testing. One will work. Right. And that's what I mean in career transitioning. You gotta be willing to try. So my analogy, and this is in life, if I'm doing things, if I do something 10 times and it's not working, then I go back and I go, let's just change something. Maybe it's the time. Maybe I should be talking to them and saying, hey, I'd like to apply for this job. Would you have 5 minutes to talk to me? And do you think I have what it takes? Or, like, what are you guys really looking for? So I can highlight those things. Try both. I think as long as you're doing, again, we go back to persistence. Just don't, I think people get really overwhelmed. I myself got really overwhelmed. And then you start feeling like I don't have the technique. Did I even go into the right industry? I would ask myself after getting no. Try both. I think both could work.
Okay.
Just make sure you're doing both.
Okay. So let's transition to the next stage of your career. You got your first cybersecurity job. What are you doing to keep up with the ever pacing change of technology and being able to deliver excellence?
Oh, guys, I don't know what the exact answer is to that, but I'm surrounded by people that match my values. So I made sure that I chose a company that matches my values, that has a good culture, work culture, especially.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I make sure to surround myself with people that, of course, are very knowledgeable, network, and whenever I have questions, which I still have, like Jesus, I have 100 a day, right? I can go back to my team and ask, and they have the time. You got to keep up with education. That's non-negotiable, I think, in every industry, especially in tech. But I think just make sure make sure you're staying connected to others in your industry, make sure you're backed, make sure someone has your back. I think that's huge. Make sure someone has your back. Make sure someone's going to be there that's going to say, I know you're stressed right now. I can help you with this. It might just be one thing, or it might just get your motivation up, or say, that's normal. You're not supposed to know it all. Make sure you work for the right company that matches who you are. Build yourself as a support system and try a few different courses. I mean, I think that's a great way to find even what you like as a person. If you're trying a course on learning how to, I don't know, set up a network, right? And you're not enjoying that, and then you try something else and you enjoy the other option, I think to me that's a sign that maybe you should focus on the other option. You'll do better at it because you like it more.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Keep up with the news. Make sure you're surrounded by people that are going to support you, that have the experience, or that are going to be there when you're falling. Because we all fall. That's just life. Multiple times. We just need to make sure we have others to get us back up and actually educate us through that process. And connect, right? Ask for help.
Absolutely. One of the comments was from several of my connections in InfoSec, they've mentioned the challenges of the roles, burnout, understaff, overworked, etc. Can you elaborate on your experiences thus far in cybersecurity?
Of course, I agree. I think I myself need to get better at not burning out. But I will tell you one thing, burning out on something that you're passionate about is different than burning out on something that you're not passionate about. I think balance is huge. So I'm a hard worker. By nature, I work really hard. So I've had to learn to acknowledge that you can work really hard, but you're not working smart. So when I'm burnt out, I've learned to say, even though I would like to deliver right now, I need to step out so I can deliver my best. So some of the things that I do is I try to be more aware of when I'm not working smart, when I'm tired. I need to step out. I go for that walk. I think you also, again, we go back to that humble piece. We can't know it all. So sometimes, yes, when you burn out, it's time to take a break and come back refreshed. And that is okay. It's okay to not know it all, and it's okay to take a break, because learning will burn you out. It's just learning is hard, right? It'll get easier as you go. Make sure you're drinking your water. Make sure you're adding things into your day that help you. Exactly, right? Water is huge. It's those little habits. Like, it's waking up. Make sure you get at least 2 hours before you go into like your stressful day before work. Make sure you prepare yourself to face the stresses, because learning, if it was easy to learn, we'd all be geniuses, right? Learning, it's not impossible though, right? And it's going to be something we're going to be doing. But you need to make sure that in your day, you put at least 20-minute breaks. I'm not going to even go ahead and say 9 to 5, guys, because I don't do 9 to 5s. I'd be lying to you. But I make sure that I'm pre-building my own support system around my day.
That's a great point. One of the comments from Christopher Zell is that it can be a grind, but it's a very rewarding field. Another one of the comments that I wanted to touch on that you mentioned earlier, finding the right culture to join is important. Your passion is far better in an organization that aligns with it. So when you were in your interviews, how did you find out that this company had the right culture that you were looking for?
That's a tough question. I will everyone feel free to connect. I'll share everything that I used. I actually got this from YouTube, guys, not lying. I was really excited to when I got the answer. I connected with the company. I connected with the CEO of my current company right now through a contact. So again, the power of networking. When I got the invitation to meet, I was over the moon, and we all get really happy. And then I myself just go blank, right? But then, prepare for things. Preparation is key. I went and looked at a few interviews in cybersecurity and what questions to ask. And then I looked at this video that had nothing to do with cybersecurity, but it said, in an interview, we always think we're the ones that need to answer questions. Make sure you turn around and you ask something, right? And make sure you ask what's going to give you a sense of if you want to work for this person long. And I'm not going to say you got to like them personally, but if you see them being of value to your career as well, are they going to be there to support you? And I remember that in my interview with my CEO, it went great. Of course, I'm working for him, right? Because I made sure that I could, that we could grow together, and I could deliver the value that he was looking for. And I said to him, I said, what challenges do you see me facing in 3 months, in 6 months, and in a year? Because then I can actually know. I think at least I could calculate if I was up for the task, for the challenge, right? Mm-hmm. And to me, his answers, I can't even remember them now, but he answered and then he said, but you know what, don't worry. We're going to be there to support you. You're going to have a team of experts. Some of the challenges that I see is that we're growing quite fast, and you're going to be, things are going to come up that I don't have the answers for, that you don't have the answers for, but that we're going to figure out together as a team. And to me, that showed his answers. The reason why I asked that, of course, I wanted to see what he had projected for the future, but I also wanted to see what his interest in supporting us, what the level of that was, and what his problem solving, because not knowing, being new in the career, I needed someone that was going to be understandable, right? Mm-hmm. And ready to get down with me and find some answers, or patient. So I guess my advice would be, make sure you're asking also questions to those companies, and make sure that those questions give you a sense of, would I be happy to work under a very stressful situation with this person or for this person?
Absolutely. And we have this comment comes from Alejandro. Says picking a manager is a much better predictor than actually the company, much easier and signal of what growth would be like. Absolutely right. And then one of the other comments from John Dela Cruz, one of our frequent listeners, very insightful listening to someone's journey into the industry, what worked, what didn't work, and sharing that experience is invaluable. Thank you, Andrea and Chris, for this opportunity. As we get to the end of our half hour, I have one tough last question for you now. Out of everything we've discussed so far, if you had to summarize everything into one piece of sage advice, what would that be for our listeners?
Persistence.
What about persistence?
Persistence and humbleness.
Okay.
Will get you your first job. Have the humbleness to accept and say, hey, Chris, I don't know it all. And I know I'm new. And I know that you're a company and you need skilled people, but I can assure you that I might not know it all right now, but you will not lack any motivation or effort or persistence on my part to get to where you want me to be. And I then will work with you. And it's being persistent and knowing that, gee, let's just even go to 500 no's. If you're persistent, you will get a yes. You might just have to find a window, a crack, maybe not the door to get in. And the humbleness to accept that we are starting, if you're starting in your career, and we're learning. But also have the humbleness to acknowledge where your strengths are and showcase those with humbleness, right? But then also, I think, to be honest, for me, what has made me successful in this phase of my career, and it's at the very early stages, is the fact that I'm very coachable. And I tell that, and I say that when I'm being interviewed. I don't have the experience, but trust me, you can coach them. And the drive is there. I am very coachable. I'm always willing. I'm actually even going to be coming to you and saying, hey, Chris, what should I focus on this week? What can I do better?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And learning, being open, again, persistence. I would go with that word. And
okay.
Being adaptable and being creative. Being creative, I think it's another one.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much. Some might also summarize all that as passion as well, have passion for the industry. So again, thank you all very much for joining us live here on LinkedIn, live on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, hit the bell to get the notifications for the next time we're on. Those of you that are listening on podcasts, you can find our podcasts on all the major platforms. Share with your friends, your families, so that we can inspire other amazing individuals like Andrea to join this industry and to make it a much better place. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.